Hello, this is Malorian, and this is an Orc Tactical Team. And what I want to do here is, today the new Orc and Goblin book just came out. So I just want to do a series of videos here, just kind of touching on some of the main issues of the book, some breakdowns of some of the numbers and some of the tactics, and just kind of get things laid out from the get-go. Because I could touch all these things, but by the time I get to all this, the book would have been out for a year. So. Let's just get right at it. So, the first thing we're going to be looking at here is your war boss. The general of your army. And where you go from this, right from the beginning, is going to be more dependent on what you're going to be doing with your army. As I've said in a previous video, in the new book here, there's really going to be a real decision to make of which way you want to take your force. Like, of course, there's the mixture and gray of everywhere in between, but it's really going to come down to, do you want to make it ultra elite, or are you going to be going for the horde? With the horde, you're probably just going to have tons and tons of goblins, and the main thing here is that really in a horde you probably want to have your war boss being there for leadership. When you're talking about the ultra elite, then all of a sudden your war boss is either there in more of a killy function where he's going to be a character killer, or he's going to be some sort of utility, something like that. So depending which way you go is going to really depend on which way you're going to be doing this war boss. Now, one of the really interesting things when you look at this is that they've really changed a lot of the points for the war bosses. Right now, the war boss, the regular one, the orc one, is about the same as before, but as compared to before, where a savage orc war boss was only 5 points more, now it's 35 points more. And I used to always say that, man, this savage orc is a great deal when you got 5 points for an extra attack and a 6+ ward. Why not do it? But now that's quite a bit of points for that extra stuff there. It probably is fair. A lot of times get things that get +1 attack is 15 points for a magical item, or if it's a magical weapon. If it's something else, usually about 20, and then the ward's also 15. So if it's 15, 15, 30, okay, paying a little 5 points extra, maybe for that thing we can use 2 hand weapons on boars, whatever. But the thing is, now he's kind of more reasonably priced, whereas before it was a huge deal. The thing is, though, is that you probably don't want to be making this expensive. I mean, if we take the next step and we go up to the Black Orc War Boss, he's another 10 points more expensive than the Savage Orc War Boss, so that's a full 45 points more expensive than the regular one. And the thing is okay, in the one case, you're going to be getting +1 attack and a 6+ ward. In the other one, you're getting weapon skill 7, quell animosity, and a free upgrade to have heavy armor. And you can get a great weapon and stuff. The thing is that with that 45 or 35 points, you can be doing a lot of other things with it. We could be getting the weapons that you wanted, going towards that. It could be going to something else. I mean, there's no reason to be making your war boss super expensive. So I would say that you actually probably want to keep them more of a cheap version, unless you're doing something where you are being a character killer, you're going out and you're really going to be trying to be killing off, like the vampire lords or the chaos lords. Then you might want to trip them out a little bit more. But otherwise, I'm really thinking here that the regular orc war boss is the way to go. Something else, though, that could be rather interesting is going to the goblin war boss as your general. Now, in the past, that was just kind of a thing you do if that was a theme army, because obviously they have less leadership than regular orcs, so why would you ever do that? The thing is that now we have the ability to raise the leadership, and we can hide these guys. So with the Banner of Discipline, we can give the whole unit +1 leadership. So if this BSB or wherever you have it is the same unit they have your general in, then all of a sudden your general goes up 1 leadership, which helps that bubble. And so all of a sudden, a leadership 8 goblin war boss becomes leadership 9. But the big difference here is that the regular goblin war boss is 50 points cheaper than even the cheap orc war boss. And that 50 points goes a long way to doing other things. So if we are talking the horde, and all you want is something there to be having these leadership bubbles there, well, maybe you just want to go with the Goblin War Boss and go with the one BSB with the Banner of Discipline. And when I say you can hide them better, you know, there's the two ways. There's one that is you put it inside your bunker that hides behind your lines. And the second way is a really interesting one that comes now with the Goblins. The Goblins have these new skulkers, whatever you call them, and the main things are just kind of like mini assassins. As soon as you get to combat, they pop up and they kind of act like 10-point characters. You know, they're alright, interesting on their own. They have 3 attacks, always strike first, killing blow when they first jump up. But the main thing is because they act as characters. If you think of it, if before, let's say you had your banner, you had your musician, you had your Goblin War Boss, you had your Goblin BSB, let's even put a Goblin Shaman or Great Shaman unit, right? So front row's all taken care of there, whole bunch of ranks behind. All of a sudden you get to combat, bam, these skulkers come out. Because they're like characters, you can put them to the front and they push those other characters back. So now your front rank is Skulker, Banner, Skulker, Musician, Skulker, and hiding behind that is your War Boss, your BSB, and your Shaman. Critical characters which can't be attacked at all because they're in the second rank. Beautiful, 10 points, and then as soon as they kill those Skulkers, there's nothing in the rules saying you have to move that model to the front. You only have to move the model to the front when the character first joins. So after that, you can just have regular goblins in the front, and your characters are still safe. Some people might think that's a cheesy tactic, but this is goblins. They're weak. You know, we're supposed to be tricky and sneaky, so it goes more with our fluff. So that's the main thing you want to be looking with those war bosses there. If you want to go for a really killy one, some of the builds that I would suggest is, of course, now we don't have as many items, but we have the one interesting one which adds the D6 toughness. That's a beautiful one, or is it D3? Sorry, D3 toughness, and put that on a guy and he just isn't going to die. That's the Armor of Gork. Yeah, D3 toughness, you get impact hits, yeah. But the main thing is this guy's going to be so tough. Now, a lot of people are saying that, okay, you just put this on your Great Orc Shaman or your Orc War Boss that's a savage. Give him a great weapon, he's good to go. I agree with that, but just again, you're just paying so many points for that extra attack. Just put on a regular Orc. Give him a great weapon, done. Really killy, he's going to be really hard to hurt. Throw him in the front lines. Another one you might be wanting to look at is you give him from the regular book, say like the sword of +3 attacks, right? Then all the time you're getting all these strength 5 attacks all the time, and then when you really need it, you could have, you know, either the potion of strength, so you can really kill a character or a monster, or if you're really worried about defense wise, you could always be throwing in something like the potion of toughness, so you know for that one turn you're extremely tough, probably nothing's going to be coming back. Another one that's kind of interesting is the Battle Axe of the Last Walk. That one now, it used to be that it was just you add your rank bonus to your strength and attacks, but now you're adding D6 to each of those, and depending how high that is, that also takes away from your weapon skill. That one can be okay. I would just be worried about it that really it's not that worth it because you don't have that much defense. However, one of the neat things is all of a sudden that can be turning a Goblin War Boss into a killing machine. You know, because then we're going anywhere from having 5 strength 5 attacks to having 10 strength 10 attacks, right? So really crazy stuff. And really, even if you reduce his weapon skill by the full 3, which makes him weapon skill 2, even then, if you have him against core guys, he's still hitting on a 4+, so that's not that big of a deal. So, could work, you know, you have this guy in a unit of Night Goblins with nets, so that he's basically toughness 5 to have that defense there. Could work out okay, and again, you know, he's coming out a lot cheaper. Actually, a Goblin War Boss with that magical weapon comes to being only 5 points more than a naked Black Orc War Boss. So, something to think about, different options, but just to try and sum it up, Going anything other than an Orc Warboss, you're paying a premium now, so I would probably scale it back. If you're going for just a defensive one, the Goblin Warboss, backed up by that Banner of Discipline, is a great take. And hang on, because there'll be another video right away. Bye.